Call the meeting of the Town of Newbury Historical Commission to order, December 9th, 2021, 7:05 p.m. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll operate out of order tonight. Let's do the minutes real fast and then we'll go to new business. Doing November 18th minutes. Any errors, omissions, changes to the minutes of November 18th?
Page 1, second to the last paragraph, which is a sentence. Old growth shingles.
Yeah, singles.
Oh, hi.
That's all.
I know, this one's like singles.
Thank you.
Old shingles.
I'll entertain a motion to accept minutes as corrected.
I'll second that.
Becky, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Okay, we're going to go right to new business and go to Coleman Road, Witchstone. We have Larry from the Planning Board and Tom, project manager for that, here tonight. How do we want to start this? Larry, do you want to talk first?
I'd be happy to. Really just here to answer any questions you might have. I assume you all have some familiarity with the
Yep,
Whetstone.
we've got a one-page briefing.
Yeah, and it's a significant part of local history. It was carved in 1723 at the request of, I have it here, John Dummer, in memory of his father. And there was also a companion piece, the Mother Stone, which is in the Smithsonian. So it is a significant piece. It was carved by a local fellow who was a very well-known local stone carver. He, I believe, carved most of the, if not all of the mile markers I'm sure you've all seen through town. And those were done in the late 1600s, early 1700s, so very significant. The property, or the Witchstone, or I think probably the Father Stone is what they would have called it in the 1720s, is currently standing upright in the stone wall at 15 Coleman Road. Mr. Zarico is the developer, and we've been looking for a way to protect it. And we talked about a number of things, like right now it's in private ownership. And you know, we talked about putting conditions on the property ownership or having a homeowners association maintain it. But it was actually Tom who came up with the suggestion of carving out a piece and conveying it to the town. And this board has authority to accept gifts of real estate of historic significance. I can tell you it was unanimously supported by the planning board, and I understand the town administrator also supports this as well. So we hope you would you know, consider it favorably.
Okay, so what's next step? Do we motion tonight to accept, or do we wait till there's a letter from?
You can wait. I don't think it matters much right now. We're just looking for some feedback on how we should proceed. What'll have to happen is he'll have his engineer create a modified plan which will show a small parcel to be conveyed to the Historic Commission for the town.
So we'll be in charge of that space?
Yes.
In theory?
Yep.
Okay. Maintaining it, things like that, are you going to,
I
I'm
don't-
just thinking about like, future,
yeah.
realistic,
No,
like, am I gonna be out there with a weed whacker to make sure it looks
Absolutely,
all
yeah,
right?
every Saturday.
Okay,
No,
well, yeah, I mean, I got a 9-year-old, I'll put him on it, but.
No,
clarify.
Yeah.
it's going to be a small parcel, minimum.
Either 10 by 10 or 10 by 20
Yeah.
feet. I mean, enough so that there's room to access it, to
course.
maintain around it. And if the town or any of the authorities decide that it's to be moved for any reason in the future, that'll be enough room to get around it with any equipment to do it properly. So a small space, really, just, a few times the size of the table here.
Right.
Just enough to protect it. And we, or I expect that whatever that parcel is, will also be marked with iron pins in the field, but will also be bordered by a hand-built fieldstone wall,
Okay.
defining it very clearly. Right now, we've got boulders protecting it to make sure that there's no harm comes to it. But and from the standpoint of decision-making, just to elaborate on that, I mean, what I'd like to see is at least a decision to accept when that plan is in hand, but an acceptance of that process, because that will allow the planning board to then release lots that we can then transfer. For instance, the old home and barn, which we have a wonderful waiting family that wants to get there in
It's
soon
a beautiful
and
old
rehab.
house.
It's really a great, it's a really great piece of property. So, and looking for that vote of consent on a plan to be drawn up and presented to the planning board, because it's technically an A&R plan carving out a non-buildable separate parcel.
To answer your question directly, I expect DPW would have to go down there occasionally.
I only jokingly say, because we're always looking
We're
at the
always
other
looking at
stones, and
other
we can't see
stones.
them, and we'll be like,
Yeah.
we can't see the stone, and-
You could do it if you wanted to, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything to be of concern.
Okay, just
Yeah.
throwing it out there.
And you'll just turn it over to us as is the property, the stone, the walls be sitting there?
Correct. That
So
stone sits-
with no extended stone wall around it or no metal posts?
Yeah, because like right now it's within the wall.
It's right in the wall,
Yeah.
and if you have driven by since the planning board approved our project proposal, we protected it behind with large stones to make sure no equipment or anything could get anywhere near it. And on the front side, we put in 2 wooden posts, with crown caps at the street. There's not much space between the pavement and the wall, but we wanted to put something there just to make sure that people knew there was something there.
Okay.
So we protected it to the extent possible, but once we define that parcel, whether it's 10 by 10 or whatever it is, we want to mark it, pin it in the field.
Well, I guess I'm just imagining, like, are you gonna take the wall away from it, so it's just
No.
standing still? You're just gonna leave it as is, and then
Yes.
just surround it?
And
Okay.
surround the back side
Yep.
of it to make sure that nobody gets anywhere near it.
Gotcha,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yeah, we don't want to interfere with anything from the aesthetics or the street view of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And
consensus.
My question was actually referring to, so it'll be the historic commission or somehow the town to build whatever wall or
No,
whatever
he's saying he's gonna
surrounding
do
it.
it. No, he's gonna do it.
That's,
We'll
okay,
build
that's,
a wall.
okay,
Yeah,
so,
we
and you'll
do that
work
really
with
nicely.
Yeah, you
and
can,
you'll work with the town as to what is gonna be done.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely, yeah.
So, Tom, this is not in the road right away already?
Well, it's actually, the stone wall is the right-of-way, is the boundary of the right-of-way,
Okay.
so it's in the wall.
Okay.
Of course, the wall was built by the property owners whenever it was built.
Yeah.
So when we say it's privately owned, it's one of those things, when you draw a line on paper, it goes through the stone technically. So
Yeah.
what we're trying to do here really is just clarify, so there's no question about the ownership being, is it half
Who's it
and
this house,
half,
is it
or-
that house,
We want
right,
to just make it crystal clear, and that's what we wanted to do since the beginning of the process. We've always wanted to preserve and protect, and I'm kind of surprised at myself that I didn't think of this earlier in the process. But with multiple discussions, it came up as a good solution.
Okay. I think we're looking for a motion of support for the third option of the town accepting a gift. I'd entertain a motion from down the floor for a motion to support this.
I'll make a motion to support option 3, to protect the father or witch's stone, whichever you prefer to call it.
I'll second
Okay.
the motion.
Second on Eva. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, gentlemen, when it
Wonderful,
comes
thank
back
you.
in paper, we'll accept it.
Okay, we'll get it drawn
Yeah,
up. Thank you all very much.
there'll, I guess, at some point be a description of the actual, I assume, the actual lot that's being conveyed. You know, that'll come before you.
There will be a deed that goes
Yeah.
along with the A&R plan very specifically. It'll be drawn up with meets and bounds, and actually, I already have it done, but I haven't had a chance to review it, so I didn't want to give it to anyone until I was able to make sure that it was properly written up.
And the town attorney is looking at and making sure that everything is exactly to the letter of the
Absolutely.
law, so
Oh,
there's
oh,
not
sure.
ever gonna be a problem
Yeah,
with
he's
it.
been
Yeah,
consulted.
Yes,
Fabulous.
because that also has to be tied back into the homeowners association and those documents, making sure there's consistency of understanding and documents throughout, so, yeah.
That's good. Good that it's been stated.
Yep.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay.
All right, well,
All right,
thank you
thank you,
again.
gentlemen.
Thanks very much.
I just want to add to that a little bit while we're talking about it. But we really should consider a byway for that whole Bay circuit, the Bay Road. That was the first commissioned road ever in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
And it has so many stones on it, and what that would do is give us the tools we needed to protect those stones, and if the
Thank
money's
you.
available,
Oh,
that
yeah.
might be where the maintenance would come in.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Because we do have, I mean, like, there's the markers all along.
all along there, all the way to the green.
Yeah.
And that's really the only way to do it. And that is a state boundary, because that was a commissioned road. That stone wall wasn't just put there on some farm. That was laid down by the state,
Which road is
the
this?
Bay
the
Road,
Bay Road.
Oh, Bay.
which is where the stones, because if you look at them, it's like B is for Boston and
But
N is for
the
New
whole
Bridgeport,
road,
and it goes all the way to Boston.
being on the first commission,
Yeah.
it's really.
Yeah, you gave us that.
Yeah.
Not long ago, I think.
Right, I did. So it's quite long. But it has so many stones on it. If it didn't have any other stones on it, you would think twice, but it's got all of them.
Oh, okay.
Well, Judge Sewell
Yeah,
was
not
the
that
one
one,
that
not
laid
the
all
whole-
the stones out. Judge Sewell of Byfield laid the stones out from Newbury to all the way to Boston.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Dawson, right. So it really would be worth it. I think there's other stones on there. We do have
No, sure.
other stones, not just the milestones. There's the balancing rock, or the Devil's Pulpit that's on Boston Road. There's Devil's Den. I think there might be another stone along there too. They call it, it supposedly has an A on it. It might be on private property, but it's on that route.
Yeah, I think I
So-
remember seeing that.
So there's a lot of things on that road. And there's things that we haven't even looked at, like culverts, and all of that's protected if it's a byway. But it has to be a bylaw, and everyone on the street has to agree to it. So there's a lot of work,
Oh, yeah.
but it would make it all protected. It would give us the tools to protect it, because if we had the byway, we could have a bylaw to protect it. And that would take care of the stone walls, because right now, if it's not on a byway, they can destroy the stone wall, and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But I know you and I have been going back and forth about Coleman Road. And your map, in my map that's hanging on the wall of my house, is not showing the byway being Coleman Road. It's,
See, I got to get another,
How old's your map?
I go back and look at it, 16 or 1700s. What I've read is it came across through Governor Dummer. What I think that's Wright Road. Old Road.
Old
Old
Road.
Road.
Old
Yeah.
Road. It came via Old Road. It didn't go down.
Well,
By
this
Triton.
document describes it going behind the dual mill.
Yeah,
It
behind
picks
the
up
Jewel
right
Mill,
there on
over
Glen.
over the hill,
Yeah,
and back down into the governor's campus.
right.
It didn't go to Coleman and back up Ellen.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what after we talked about this last time, I went
Right.
back and looked at a bunch of my maps.
Which map are you using? Because I'd like to just see.
I'd have to go back and tell you, I've got
Yeah,
more than one of them hanging in my
all
house.
right, well then that wouldn't help us here, would it?
Take pictures of them.
But stonewall preservation is important in this town, and we ought to continue it. And once this transaction's done, we ought to take the 10 by 10 space, and then we ought to get it sent to do the macros on it, apply
Do it right
it,
away.
and send it in.
Yeah, because the other stones are,
The milestones.
the milestones are at Macros.
So is this a
Okay.
situation where they're giving us 10 square feet of something and then he's getting 10 square feet somewhere else?
Nope.
He's just giving it to us.
He actually is fairly sincere in.
No, he can tell, I just wasn't sure if this was
Yes,
like
Just to
one
get it
of
out of
those
his
trades.
hands. Out of
And
his
because it's right on the, it's almost on the boundary line of the next
Property
house.
anyways, yes.
So the people, that's an existing house. So they were at a meeting too, I think, I don't know if it was planning board or whatever, at the time when they were trying to pass the development.
Mhm.
And they were very concerned about
What would happen
protecting
to it, yeah.
the stone also.
The
But
trees
he
can-
doesn't want it, there was 3 choices as you read, but this one gives the town ownership of that piece of land. And if the town owns it, then we protect it, which is different than having a building or a preservation restriction.
Right.
We can't accept a piece of land with the preservation restriction. We can't hold the restriction
So we won't even need one.
Because it's
because they're gonna
designed
deed
for
the
us.
land to
Gotcha.
the town.
Gotcha.
So it's not going to be, what if somebody else,
Yeah,
you know?
moves in and then does it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're gonna deed us, like, Martha had said a 20 by 20, and it's on here as 20 by 20.
Yeah, you got cut in half. And this guy what?
Yeah, 10
Well,
by 10, right?
He
So-
did say 10 by
Do we have
20.
any say in the design? I know they're gonna keep the original stone wall, and they put a square around it. It's kinda gonna make 2, like rectangles, on each side of the stone wall.
Yeah,
I think the big boulders out front would look better than,
Well, he said they put them behind the stone so that nothing would hit it, but they did put
But
2
in
posts
front.
in front, he said,
right.
Yeah.
wooden posts
So
instead of
I'm just
some metal.
curious
Or
to how it's gonna
we could put
look.
these metal things in concrete buried in the ground,
Wall
put a
it.
chain there, which
Yeah.
might be.
Oh, it's right on the side of the road, the snowplow has to be able to push the
Oh.
snow,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
My-
yeah.
Oh, that's gonna go along, because it's right at the road.
I mean, maybe if it's just like in the ground and not a full high wall or something, just to kind of like
Designate.
cobblestones, just to delineate
Well, once
some
the
space.
town owns, or this starts to go, then more specific detailing,
Yeah, well,
you know.
I'm just trying to imagine it though, because you're right, as you're going around the corner and stuff, like you don't want to have like another
The
big bump out.
stones
Yeah.
in the gauge book.
What I'd be concerned with is the property line that stone wall is sitting on. Whether, like when we did the Kinney's, when we served that, we put the upright on the stone wall and we got it fixed. So the stone wall is the boundary, is
Right.
now the legal property line.
Generally,
There
always.
could be a line here and the rock wall might be sitting over here. I just, I'm
Yeah.
concerned that the box that we build out of rocks is
Accurate.
accurate.
Well,
Because
that's what
because
they're
you don't
talking
know
about.
whether it's-
Yeah.
He said that they're gonna put the pins in the ground to mark.
Exactly where it is.
Okay,
It has a-
that's the main, that's the best one.
So
Yeah.
my husband,
Monuments, is that what they-
my husband was
Otherwise,
telling
you find
me,
out later on that that the boundary, the wall's here and the actual property line's here, and your box isn't
And,
included.
well, the town attorney is all involved in this already and wrote up these recommendations. So, and
Should be good.
he's gonna take, Tom is gonna take care of, because he is the developer and originally, I believe, bought the property. So before it's signed and sealed and delivered, all these things will be taken,
Yeah.
or should be pointed out and taken care of.
Yeah.
And
They should be surveyed is all I'm getting at, rather than just, there's the stone wall, and we're gonna go 5 feet
well,
on
that's
the
how
other side
they
of it.
know where it is, because it's already been surveyed. It had to have been surveyed when it was sold for them to do a development.
Yeah,
Research.
they would have done all that.
Had to be resurveyed. Oh, okay.
He says his guy's doing it all.
Yeah. What were you saying about your husband?
In the 70s, when he worked for the highway department, he said one of his jobs was cleaning the sides of the road. And when they got to that stone, the supervisor said, "Oh, don't touch it, don't uncover it." So they knew it had something.
That's
back there,
interesting.
but that's-
The reason I'm concerned is that the property that we bought for Greenbelt, that next to the lower green, we assumed the rock wall or the wall there was the boundary line, and it wasn't. And now the rock wall and the trees belong to the Garrisons, and the Greenbelt property is 10 feet shorter than we thought it was.
Interesting.
Well, you know what they say about that assuming stuff.
Yep.
Well, actually, Greenbelt had it surveyed, so I'm not quite sure what happened there.
It took them, the surveyor, 3 shots to find the monuments on the island to measure my property exactly, because the sand keeps shifting.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, onward.
So it's not as simple as it sounds, but if they're gonna put iron in there, then the iron rods in, then it's easy to find, it's
Yeah.
easier to find.
Okay, treasurer's report.
Moving right along.
Okay, not much has changed. So we still spent, out of our general fund, we've spent $600. The remaining money, or about 600, it's gonna go toward the porta potty in the spring here for the rest of this fiscal year. Gifts and donations, we brought forward $1,767.65. We had $205 worth of donations, bringing us to $1,972.65 for the remainder of the year. Actually, it's not for the remainder of the year because we carry it forward. The special article fund, we still haven't spent anything out of that. It's $3,456.67, giving us, with commitments and effective balances, total in the three accounts, $6,629.32. And as far as the town hall knows, it's $7,144.32, not including the commitments. So
Okay,
it's all summarized, and then that's as of 2 days ago.
all right, a motion to accept the treasurer's report is read.
I move that we accept the treasurer's report as read.
Okay, and second?
I'll second that one.
All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Done.
And while you're at the schoolhouse, we've had 123 visitors this year.
Not bad considering.
Yeah, I counted yesterday.
Do
Because
you
I
ever
need
know
it
what
for
like
the
what
end of
the
the year.
max tier is? Like, do we have like a 1 year we've done 500 or crazy?
I don't know, I'd have to look back on
I was
the
wondering.
annual
You're
report.
like,
It's
what's
on all
our-
the annual reports,
Okay.
so.
122 groups came through where they signed it,
Like
No,
names.
123 people.
signed it.
Signed.
Yeah,
Like,
but sometimes a
yes.
family of 4 come in and only get one signature.
Yeah, well, I had them make sure they wrote down there was 4 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I've never done that. Good
You're
job.
good.
Or they put, Mr. and Mrs. John Smith, so I counted.
I'm just happy when they sign the book.
I know. Well, I tell them I have to have it because I need to report to the town, and it's true.
I always say, please, we like to keep track of how many visitors we get. That's always
Huh?
what I
Oh,
say.
George Washington's. We get that in the museum, somebody will put something like that in there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I have no.
I've never noticed that. It's usually an actual person's name.
Just like, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But-
Yeah, I always, we're not going to email you.
Okay, on to website report.
Pretty much the same. I haven't done too much this month, to be honest, but I'm still working on it. Give me any data, Lon.
Yeah.
If you want to, I can swing by your house one day, or you can just give it to me next time. But
Anytime I see you.
I know. Well, I'm just saying.
That's once a month.
And then everybody needs to come up with a picture. You haven't done it.
A picture
They've
for
done it.
what?
I wanted
I
to.
haven't done it.
Well, you sent me one.
Well, I
You
sent
found
you
a better
couple.
one? We were gonna try to find like a, kind of like an old picture.
Oh, somehow I thought somebody was going to, or
Yeah, well,
somebody
I
was
was-
gonna find a picture.
No, no, I want you to find a picture of yourself and then give it to me, so then I
I
can have
thought we were
that.
gonna do like one of those group shot things, like from when they had the 275th or something, and they
And just do that.
they
I mean,
took
you
photos.
could pick whatever picture you want. Channing already has
General
one.
Burnsides, that's
Yeah.
what I want on there.
Okay, well, I didn't realize that, so I'm in
I
error
did.
So
there.
find yourself an oldie picture. It could be anything.
I may
Just
use
do
my
it.
great-great-grandfather.
Perfect. See, there you go. That's perfection.
I have a couple of my grandmother's things, but I did send you a few, but those kind of like,
Well, yeah, well, they're kind of funny.
yeah.
You can pick a different one. But yeah.
So are we supposed to like Photoshop our face into it? or-
No. It's just supposed to be like, I might do it so it's the old picture and then like a real one if you click on it or something to
Yeah.
make it move. But like, it's just supposed to be, you know.
Oh, no, there's no real picture gonna be there.
Well, then you don't have to have it. This was just an idea, but I need the old picture first,
I
just
have
so.
my high school picture on Facebook. that
That'll
I
work.
noticed.
Yes, I did.
Pick
notice.
something and she's gonna pick it for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a picture of my great-grandfather.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
I can
that's-
see a little bit of the resemblance in the fabric.
Correspondence, Jan.
Oh, yeah. Do the unsinkable Molly Brown or something.
We just got one, it's not on the list, because I just got it yesterday after I printed all this to go make copies. A gentleman named Michael Webster sent us an email and said back in the late 1980s and 90s, he worked in Newburyport and rented a cottage on Cottage Road. He said he wandered around town and investigated the old ferry house. Now I need you for this piece, because I thought the orange house was the ferry house.
It is.
Okay,
It is,
so
It's a
Yeah.
toll house.
Many-
Well,
Very house.
the structure was dilapidated and in rough shape, and in my understanding, the building has since been demolished. So I don't think we're talking about the same house, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it's not demolished.
He said it was located just west of the West Gutter, south of Newman Farm Meadow near Newbury Old Town.
yeah, that's
Wait,
really
just
good.
south of the meadow? Oh, there's a foundation there. That's belongs to, that's the property where the driveway goes down to the waterfront
Mhm.
on the west side of the,
Houghton?
west side of the road.
Houghton?
I don't know, I can try to remember. Knight's, somebody named Knight, I think, owns that property.
Austin?
Anyway,
So he's just trying-
there is a foundation up there. I have a picture somewhere in one of my old photographs that shows the house sitting there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So-
it's in the picture.
So the orange
So
house
it's
is not
pictured in
the
the bridge.
original ferry
I
house?
saw this.
So it's just possible that he's mistaken, that the house that was maybe near the water and he thought it was the ferry house? I have no idea, okay, but.
Okay.
It
So
could have been an early one.
what's his
I don't
question
think-
though?
So the question is, he said, in the fieldstone basement, there are piles of old photographic glass plate negatives,
What?
many of which
Does he still have
had
this?
been either broken or completely ruined by water damage from flooding. However, I was able to grab a small stack of glass plate negatives, say that 3 times fast, that were not entirely damaged. There was also a water damaged small photograph on the old Adams homestead, a copy of which it appears you already have, so it must be on the 1635. He plans on spending time examining and evaluating them, but he finds that he's moving to the West Coast and he wants to give these.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
In addition to a plate of the Brooklyn Bridge, there are several glass negatives of waterfront settings that may or may not be Newburyport, Portsmouth, etc. Would we be interested in these photographic glass plates? He said he's retired, he has time and flexibility to deliver them. He lives in Concord.
Yeah,
I would
So-
say,
we could
Yes. Do
always
we
take a look at it.
know anybody that can develop glass negatives?
You know, to develop, well, I can
Can you just do it with
I can
scan
scan them and then
Reverse
click a
it, right?
reverse and it'll give you black and white.
Is it that simple?
Yeah.
So
I
I
did it
wasn't
with
sure,
the
do
one
we
my son
want
found
them
in his
or
house.
do
Civil War guy.
Maybe we
Just
keep
gotta
the HIST
fill out
wants
the,
them?
we do the donation form.
Yeah.
Got that form somewhere.
Is it school?
I mean, if it's Newburyport mostly, then,
We can
I
just
see.
distribute it. If we got
Yeah,
somebody else, we'll give them
exactly.
to them.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say, like, it's not like they're far away, we just,
What side did he say was on the west gutter?
It's located just west
Yeah.
of the west
Gutter.
gutter,
Yeah,
south
yep,
Yeah.
of the
Of the field.
Newman
Right.
Farm Meadow
yep.
near Newbury Old Town.
That's the foundation that's sitting up there. So there's some brick in it. I'm always worried about I'm gonna fall into a well when I walk around back there.
So that must be where he found them,
But, yeah.
but is that the old ferry house?
so then maybe he just has that mistaken.
Yeah.
So, because I
Cool.
know, I thought
That's
the ferry
odd.
house was the pink, was the
Yeah.
orange house, but
Me too.
Or the ferry then.
the pumpkin house. But then again, that's not right on the landing either. Like, you know, the landing up near the water. It's like, what, 2 houses back, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Bridge wasn't there.
Well,
The bridge
I've got,
was in-
or seen,
so maybe that's why.
I've
Yeah.
seen old photographs of the pumpkin house when the bridge was in its old position before they moved it over. And, I mean, it was,
So the bottom
that-
line is, we want it,
oh, I think so.
I think so, I think it's worth at least getting them, and then if
Yeah.
we can pass them off if they're not ours specifically.
Yeah, I was very surprised. The thing I
Is
had
that
was
really
all
easy?
dirty and everything else, and I was still able to scan it, and it's somebody's Civil War
Yeah,
picture.
which is
Yeah.
awesome.
The person that lived in my son's house
Yeah.
back in 1865, probably.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. We found it in the attic, between some of the beams.
No kidding.
okay, so who's going to try to meet with this guy to get it?
I could,
Lawn?
yeah.
Okay.
Because that one, he
Because
took
if he's
them
gonna
out of
scan
the
it-
house,
Yeah,
right? I want to walk over to the ferry house
That would
with
be
him.
great.
that's a really good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Okay.
It's, yeah, and I'm betting it's behind the wall, the Kinney
Right.
House wall, the south wall, the rock
Okay.
wall.
Did it say that he had connection to
It's
this?
Like
town?
about
closer to
15
the
feet
marsh?
in.
Like,
It's up in the air, it's
He
not
was
down on the
working in
marsh.
Newburyport and rented a cottage on Cottage Road. Say that 3 times.
Seriously.
Cottage on Cottage Road.
Yeah.
So I think it was incredibly nice that he
Yeah,
going.
most people would just throw them away and not even care.
Or take them
Yeah.
with them to California, although
Yeah.
he's very afraid that something would smash too, so but it was very, it
That's
was very
pretty cool.
interesting, so.
Yeah, Sweet.
yeah, so give him my
Okay,
phone
so
number,
I will give him
email.
your email or whatever, and,
Give him the lawn,
yeah, I try not to use the other one at all.
yeah, that's good, because I don't read it much.
And I should have the donation form online, so I can just send it to him also.
Great.
Okay, and then that takes care of the
That's
newest.
cool.
The
It's
other
actually
was
exciting. I hope there's something cool.
obviously from, the one from Martha, and then we've gotten multiple emails from the lady Joy Ward's Brad, regarding the,
Okay, so the next
Windmill.
correspondence is the Windmill Lawn. Do you want to just run us through this?
Well, I mean, I've been involved with it since the beginning. So my neighbor behind us was talking to DePiero about whether they wanted, what they were going to do with the windmill. So he took it down from above, which was stored in the barn, and then when there was no reason to put it back up again, looks like he took a torch, cut 2 legs off the 35-foot tower, pushed it over, and it hit the ground and bent, so it was beyond repair. So we were talking about trying to get that, and you cannot take 4x4 angle iron, 1/4 inch thick, and straighten it out. You're not going to do that, not with any kind of hammer. So we let that go, but then what he did is picked up the windmill and all its parts, brought it over, and then sat it in her yard across the stone wall. So that's where it's sitting now. Oh, good, here's some pictures of it, right? Here's some pictures of it. And so we've got a drawing, 16-foot high, 4x4 legs,
That's what it
cross
was,
beams and
right?
everything else. that we could mount that on. We also found, we've got a user's manual for it, that we got
Really?
that right from that windmill, that particular thing with the motor and how to service it and everything else. And you can get parts for it, believe it or not. So the plan is to put it somewhere, but the idea originally was to try to put it someplace where, I mean, it says historic. I mean, you could put it on my yard in the back, and whenever you come over to my house for dinner or for a drink, we could walk in the backyard to see it, which is kind of useless. Or we could put it back on the Barton property, right there, viewed from
Everywhere.
Route 1A.
I
Which, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting, I don't want to put words in Joan's mouth, but, so the concern is, so the purchaser of the Barton property, of the house, apparently is willing to have that put in the side yard near, within about 20 feet of where it originally was, 50 feet of where it originally was. And you'd be able to see it driving by or walking by the sidewalk. The concern is, great, she's a historic preservationist type person. And 20 years from now, when she sells the house, somebody buys it and says, what's that old windmill doing in my yard? And so the question is there some way to either have her somehow write it up and that it's got to stay the way it is, go with the property, or cut off 20 feet square and give it to
Do
the
it
city?
again.
Have another little parcel.
Yeah.
But here's the concern. So she would like to put it in by the pond, or put it in the, over to the schoolhouse or something, where you'd be able to see it. But now it's the town's property, okay? And what's the liability?
That's
People
not,
climbing on it. So
Yeah.
it's gonna end up with a 10 by 10 foot
Fence around it.
fence around it
Right there.
with what you call
Concertina
razor
wire.
wire on
Yeah.
top. And I don't think that'll look good in the green.
No.
So, I mean, the best thing is to keep it on private property if we can, I think.
yes.
But, so that's what I've talked to her about. And she would like the town to at least consider whether or not they would want to have it on the green, down in the pond, down by the landing, or something like that, and rather than keeping it on the Barton property. And I think we could work something out with Deb, that we could keep it on the property and somehow protect it. I don't think she's gonna cut off a 10 by 20 foot piece of property and turn it over to the town, but.
The town doesn't want it,
Yeah, and the
I
town
would say.
won't,
If they
right.
don't want it on their property, they're
Yeah.
gonna not wanna own it on somebody
Yeah,
else's
somebody else,
property.
same problem.
Does she
right.
have a preservation restriction on that property already? Does she have any kind of preservation on the house?
I mean, on the Barton property?
Yeah. That it
Not
can
that I
be
know
added?
of, if it did, it sure didn't work.
Well, no,
No,
the
one
new
that she's
one.
created now.
Oh,
Yeah.
nothing has been created.
So
Yeah.
she needs to put a PR on her
On the
deed.
house.
Well, that's,
anyway.
if that's where it ends up getting moved, yeah. Yeah.
She's got a right to it.
Yeah.
But that, and she might
But
be
that
willing
will
to do
tie
that.
right in with trying to get a local historic district there too. They're gonna all have to put preservation restrictions
Right,
on their
anyway.
deeds, yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where we are. I thought you mentioned that she might be here tonight, I guess not.
I didn't know, because
She said she about 5 minutes, I thought, and then.
yeah, well, she's not happy.
Okay. Anyway, so that's, hopefully I haven't misrepresented what she's concerned about and what she's saying, but, so she's looking for a home for it. And
Yeah.
again, she's willing to put it on her property, but unless you get an invitation to come down and say hello, no one will ever see it. And my property, I'd be willing to put it on mine, same problem.
Same idea, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't put it in my front yard, that would be kind of dumb. But I think next to the old Barton house,
What was?
set
Makes
back
sense.
20
Yeah.
feet from the sidewalk, might look good. In fact, maybe if we get a project going, we could even do a better job and get a steel support system. 16 foot, this thing is 8 feet, this is a big windmill. This is 8 foot across.
Yeah.
Yeah, and originally we were looking at a 12 foot, and it's too out of proportion. It looks like it's on, the stand's too small.
Yeah.
So we're up to 16 now, and you can buy a 4x4 16 foot, so
What was the original one?
Oh, 35
32,
feet or more,
35,
yeah, I was way the heck up, because it was the stand, and then it was a water, storage, water
Yeah,
storage
water
thing.
tank, yeah.
And then a windmill above that, so the windmill sat
Okay.
above, yeah, see you can't really see the windmill, but it's above the storage tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably 25 feet in the air at least. And then you got this, and then the windmill was above that.
Now, there's a remains of one on Green Street, the old little farm at that right at Boston Road. I don't know if the same size as that one was, but the metal framework is still standing. Right, and you see it from the road when you go by, it's in your field.
It's really too bad that they pushed it over, because
So-
it was fine.
How
the way it
tall do you
was.
think this one was? The
Originally?
metal work,
How much, what?
the metal work, how tall do you think it was?
About 25 feet, I think. Well, let me look at
Well, I'll
this.
just look at the one on, you never know, you go up and ask them.
Seriously.
Oh, you want to take that out of my yard? Thank you,
It went
yeah.
all the way through it, so take that back, because it looks like the frame went all the way up to here. Oh, no, that's George
No,
sitting on top.
that's something like that.
So here,
Right.
so the tank was sitting on it.
Right.
So I'm
20,
guessing that's like 20 feet,
22.
25 at the most.
Okay, I'm gonna look at the one on Green Street because,
Yeah.
Right.
Because wasn't it for water?
Yeah, it's water for the farm,
Water tank.
yeah.
Just checking for those of us lay people. who live in the
Okay,
city.
Actually, I've got a whole bunch of pictures of the bridge from the south looking north of the Parker River Bridge. And you can see this sitting up, and there's actually another one off to the right, and there was a house on the back of my property sitting out there, and we found the foundation from it. So it's pretty interesting looking at these old photos. You can see what used to be in various places. Yeah.
So as I guess we'll call it a survey in reference to the green. I don't think the green is a place for the windmill, so is there any other discussion points at this point? Anybody else have any comments? I got 3 no head shakes.
Well, what, did she want us to go to the town to ask? Yeah,
For her.
for her.
Yeah.
So I sent her today Julie's email and telephone number, who is the admin for the town administrator and the board of selectmen. And I told her that we cannot make any decisions on anything to do with town-owned property
Yeah,
without the town.
yeah.
So I don't know what else I can do for her.
Yeah.
I mean, I told her that we're really glad she saved it, and to please, she's welcome to tell whomever she speaks with that we've looked at the information and that we sent her to ask them about it, but I don't know what else we could possibly try to do. I mean, it's not up to us to go to the town on her behalf and ask them if they want her to do something, in my book.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think if we were pushing to have it put up, erected next to the old schoolhouse or something like that, then I could see where
we
we
go.
could be more
Yeah.
involved or something like
If we were, but we're not,
Yeah.
so,
Back to her.
so that's back to her.
that.
And then the selectmen will come back to us for, because we're an advisory board to
Yeah.
the selectmen, they'll come back and ask us. And then we'll vote on it at that point. Any other correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay. Unfinished business, the only thing I had circled was, Eva, you weren't here. I brought up have you had a chance to get a hold of Sales and Trails
no,
to find out why we never hear from them and to get us,
Back in the loop.
no, but I will. I'll see what I can do to get us back on the,
they used to send Chris mail, they used to send an
Yep.
email, they used to call them, they used to communicate about what we're gonna do for the week. And like even the last few, we don't hear from them at all.
right.
So they
Is this-
probably don't have our email, they probably don't have contact information. So if we could get a hold of them and let's do an update, you can be the designee, the
Okay.
correspondent.
Will
I
do.
remember that back when Chris was here, that was about when I was joining. And
Yeah.
It was a big deal every
Right,
year.
Yeah.
right, we used to have the
Yeah.
schoolhouse open, and
Yeah.
people signed up and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, do they just not do it anymore?
No, they do it.
They're doing it, but I think-
You have to
We
be
thought
a,
about it
you have
this
to be a
year.
member, like, you have to, I'm not sure if you don't have to pay to be in it.
Well, we never, I don't think Chris ever paid, but then we got money, so
Yeah.
let's find out.
I will, okay, good.
Anybody else have anything in old business?
Did you get,
Oh, the shingles for the schoolhouse,
Yeah,
the old growth, he had some, but he doesn't have them anymore.
okay.
And he said if there was any way he could duplicate something for you, he could try. How many do you need?
I don't know, I think it's a bigger picture as eventually we need to replace the roof with a simulated shingles.
Yeah,
They make them now.
Yeah.
They look just like a cedar
They do.
shingle roof,
I
and
agree.
they're some type of resin or something now. It needs to be permanent.
But do you
But
need
are they
do you need
on
a
the
patch though?
Department of Interior's approved?
Well, before COVID, they used to have the annual show in Boston every year, and you'd go see all these vendors at the Heinz and find out who these people are, and then I guess once we had a name, we could check back on, because what I was, the funny thing about shingles is it's not part of the structure. They're considered a wear item.
Yeah.
So it's actually not a permanent fixture, so, but all being said, we want it to look like cedar shingles because that's the way it was. So we need to find the simulated cedar shingles and
Fix it once.
spec it,
Right.
and then go to town meeting, get a contractor and get it in.
Just the difference between old growth and regular cedar shingles. The cedar, was it clapboard, whatever it's called, that's on the side of my house, has been installed with square nails. It's never been treated, it's never been finished or anything, and it's still just fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's old
the
growth.
difference,
And
yeah.
the grain, and it's about like
Tight
this.
spots.
Yeah,
Yeah, real tight.
like a thread.
Well,
And the new stuff is just all pulp, and it just doesn't last.
Yeah, when you had to get rid of that 100-foot barn, they were in there, bunch of wooden gutters and stuff.
So that's
That's what we need, to find somebody that's tearing down an old barn that we can get the jingle. Maybe that guy in Vermont there that does barns has some.
No, we'll just replace it with the new stuff, be done with it. But, okay, Lon was gonna check with the family security,
And
so that's on his to-do list.
I got the name. I've got
Did
the-
we ever, has anything ever happened with 1 Main Street yet? You know, demos or anything? Because I've been noticing that there's been like cutting down trees and stuff.
It's been sold.
No, I know that. That's why I mean, like, I drive by now
That,
and
the
then.
lot behind it, and the lot across
Yeah,
across
all of
the
it,
property
right?
line, there's 3 houses that were all bought by the same, 3 lots or whatever.
Where are we with that? We did it. We did it for the existing homeowner
Right,
at their insistence.
Right, that's my
They're
point.
gonna have to do it again.
yeah,
You
Um,
definitely tell there's stuff going on there, that's all. It's
Yeah.
like the.
because they cut
the
everything,
wall-
you can actually see the
You
front
see
of
the
the
house now, all of a sudden, that's why I'm like, ooh, because like, there's no trees there now anymore, and
Well,
the wall's starting to get torn down.
It'll just be a paperwork trail, we're just gonna approve it the second time, we'll have to vote on it
Yeah.
again, but.
That's why I didn't know if anything had come
Nothing's
through
come
yet.
in.
Alright.
Nothing's come in.
We haven't had a demolition delay issue.
Not
Is
like when we
nobody
get
tearing
vacant
anything
things
down?
like
Or are we just not being consulted?
Yeah.
We're trying to keep up, there's been a couple out on the island, I caught them, and Jan checked on them, they were new structures. Because now I figured out they have to have the demo, the fire department there for it, so when I see it come across the computer, I check. But, so we've checked on, there were 2 demos on the island,
Oh.
both modern structures.
Yeah, nothing
and
in our age
nothing-
range.
Nothing came through, no.
The oldest house left on the island, really, as far as I know, is the Oliver House. But I could be mistaken, not the Oliver House, the Bennett Hill. The Oliver House was, and that went
They're all
down.
just
'cause it
slowly being
was-
replaced.
It was just slightly leaning.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could look at the road, you'd go,
Leaning Tower.
Okay. And that was almost to the point, but it was also, that was also a new report, but, the island is the island, you know.
Yeah,
And I think Bennett Hill is probably the oldest structure remaining, which is the one that's way up by the
Yep.
Centavon one, but I could be mistaken, but.
you'd know better than I would.
Animal houses, too.
I know that.
Okay, that was old business. Do we have any new business?
None that I have.
Okay.
Anybody do business, anybody have any ideas of anything we need to do for next year, more permanent? I'm going to put the budget together now and turn it over into the town. And we also haven't spent any money this year.
We need to get that box outside replaced.
The plastic one for the
Oh,
flyers.
yeah, oh,
That's a simple
that's
thing.
right. Okay,
But it does need to be a
that'll
little bit more
$15.
water tight. It gets a little moist in there and stuff.
Yeah.
You think?
Everything gets curly.
Well, the top didn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's just slightly nasty looking.
Yeah, it's totally gross.
Plus the roof, I'm on roofs now. The cover is MIA.
Yeah,
And it's,
right, which definitely is gonna make stuff get soggy.
it's detrimental to its health, yeah.
Well, Rebecca was gonna check on the windows,
Yes, and I didn't, but that's, talk to
so
them. I'm gonna message them.
we could do a half
Yeah.
dozen window sashes.
That would take up a lot of
burn
money.
Burn up
That
some
would be
money.
good, yeah. Get
His-
putty, get them, they need
Yeah.
them primed before they get painted, especially with this, with like acrylic, because it just, you could
Yeah,
just pull the whole, it all
it's
comes
bad.
off in one once.
No, I'll check with them. That's just an email. I just forgot to do it.
Okay,
I think it's the contractors. I still do.
all right, I don't have anything else. Let's take a motion to adjourn. Get out of this cold room. This second,
I was in a schoolhouse yesterday, 3/4 of an
second,
hour.
second.
Yes.
Second.
You, I second
All in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.